there, everybody. Good morning. Today we're going to talk about why great companies get ignored while other companies who may not even be as great get the customer. So, why does that happen? Have you ever had that experience where you're like, my stuff is way better. My company's way better. Why are they going with these guys? um, And, that does happen. And a lot of it comes down to positioning. And, us folks in the technical fields, that may be a little sort of like far fetched marketing speak. What is positioning? Um, it's how we make ourselves different and unique from other companies, other competitors in the market that our clients may be considering. So we're going to talk about how to show up as different and unique and better, offering better value, and how to become the obvious choice for your customers. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we want to achieve. We want it to be so easy for our customers to say, yes, this is the company I want to work with. All right. So now I have a weed blower outside my window. So I hope you can't hear that. All right. So let's hop into the presentation. Oh, by the way, my name is Laura Kamrath. I'm CEO of Zebra Marketing. We help B2B companies who may have something incredible to bring to the people who they serve, but they need a little bit of help with keeping their marketing up to date and keeping up with all of these innovative new technologies so that they can become market leaders, have predictable sales and hockey stick growth, and meet their targets month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. All right, so let's hop in. Also, if you find this conversation to be helpful, if this is useful to you, please do drop a like, drop a comment. If you have any questions, I will be back to take a look and answer your questions if you drop a question in the comments. And if there's someone that you know who may benefit from this conversation, please share it with them and help them get a little further ahead in their marketing. And that just helps us operate better and communicate better as a community. All right, let's hop in here. Why do great companies get ignored while other ones get chosen? Buyers can't choose you if they can't remember you. And in a crowded market, the company with the clearest message wins, not always the best product or service. So, you may have experienced this. You guys have, the best widget or the best service, or you guys do something the best, but you're not being chosen for it. And, that can be really frustrating. And oftentimes it comes down to how we're communicating what we do with our customer. The problem isn't your service. You may have incredible service. You may have better service than all of your competitors. But what companies assume is that, if we do excellent work, customers will just naturally find us. The track record speaks for itself, always rises to the top. But actually, buyers don't always choose the best company. They choose the company they understand the best. Remarkable service can be hidden behind confusing messaging, and then it becomes invisible. And clarity beats quality in the buying decision. So what does a confused buyer do? Nothing. They don't buy. If it's not clear, if it's not obvious, they don't buy because, buying is a risk. They're taking a risk by making a decision. So if the decision is unclear, if the risk level is not clear, if they're not exactly sure what they're getting into, or if there are too many options, oftentimes they choose to do nothing, because doing nothing carries far less risk than making a decision and doing something. So we want to remove that level of risk by making it really clear to them who you are, what you do, and how it helps. Or, who you are, who you serve, how it helps, and then give them reasons to believe it really works. Why do buyers compare on price? If you think about buying anything, if two products seem identical in every other way, they're giving the same promise, giving the same features, the same vague language, what's the only remaining variable? Everything sounds the same. You've got generic messaging. It erases meaningful differences between the competitors. The buyer sees no distinction. When companies just pretty much sound alike, there's no reason to pay a premium. Why would you pay more for gasoline at one gas station than gasoline at the other gas station? It's the same gasoline. So you're going to go to the cheapest gas station because you see no difference in the product that you're getting. It's a commodity. But in service-based businesses, there is a difference. There is something that you and your company do above and beyond better than anyone else in your market. When you can clearly communicate that to your customers, the decision will become clear. And not only that, but the decision, they will be willing to pay a premium for that. If they know that they're going to get a better result in less time with less effort on their part, they will pay more for that. If that's not clear to them, then price becomes the deciding factor. The cheapest option wins by default, not the best option. So be clear by differentiating yourself why you are worth not only the decision going with you, but a premium. You can raise your pricing if people clearly see why you're better, why you're different, and how it will impact positively their business. They'll be willing to pay more for that, because at the end of the day, they see results. No use buying a dollar store shovel for gardening if you're a gardener and you need a shovel that you're going to use every day and it breaks after the first time. Yeah, the dollar store shovel is obviously going to be cheaper, but it's going to break, and then you're going to have to buy another one, and then you're going to be inconvenienced because instead of being able to, plant your trees or plant your flowers, you're going to be back at the store. And nobody wants that. They want it to work. They want it to last. So, if they look out and all they see is a bunch of dollar store shovels, they're just going to buy a dollar store shovel because they don't understand that there's something better. If you can show them why yours is different, that it's not going to break, and that it is good work, and that, give them confidence, they're going to choose you, and they'll be willing to pay more for it. Job of marketing. Marketing isn't just about generating attention or filling the top of the funnel. Its true job is to help buyers quickly answer the 4 questions every purchase decision depends on. Who do you help? Buyers need to see themselves in your message immediately. What problem do you solve? Name the specific pain point, not just a category of pain. What exactly do you solve? And for whom? And then why are you different? What makes your approach, outcome, and existing experience distinct? What makes you different? Why are you better above and beyond other options? And why should I care? Connect your difference to a real outcome the buyer values. How does this help them? Why should I care? Why does this matter? And if you can answer quickly these 4 questions for the customer, say for the visitor on your website, if this is clear, then it's going to be a lot easier to close deals. Because you're not going to have to explain every time what this is and how you help and what problems you solve and start from scratch every time. This can become your pillar, the pillar of what you do. And, when you're able to have this clarity in your messaging and then it's reinforced over and over again, customers begin to build trust. They know who you are, they know what you do, and they believe that you are better and different. Most websites sound like this. You tell these companies apart. These are real world headline archetypes from hundreds of B2B websites, and they all say exactly nothing. We provide innovative solutions for modern businesses. So, trusted technology partner for your success. It says nothing. For what success? I have no idea what that means. Customer focused service, always. Industry leading expertise you can rely on. It says nothing. You could put that on any company's website and stand up on a soapbox and say, yeah, we're the best. We do great things. It's really good. Trust us. But you're not showing them. It means nothing to them because it doesn't connect to them. It doesn't have real value. And it doesn't show, what it means for them. And, if they can't immediately connect with it and understand this is for me and here's how it's going to help, they're just going to move on to the next option, unfortunately. And I see this with technical companies all the time. Technical companies oftentimes are so, impressed with their own technical capabilities, and they're so excited about, how widget A can do this, this, and this. But, we care about those things, the things that our software can do, or the things that our service can do, or, but at the end of the day, customers buy outcomes. They buy results. And so at the end of the day, they don't really care about the features. Yeah, they will want to know about the features as a reason to believe that the outcomes that you promise and the outcomes and results that you say they're going to get are true and real. But we don't lead with features because features is not the story. Features are the end game, how we get there. It's like the bridge. If you think of, your customer is standing on one side of a chasm, a big ditch, or, the Grand Canyon, and they want to get to the other side of the Grand Canyon without having to hike down to the bottom and back up, which I have done. They're going to need a bridge. So your features are the bridge, but what do they actually care about is getting to the other side. They don't really out, what the is built out of. Is it built out of wood? Is it built out of metal? Does it have support beams? Is it a suspension bridge? Who is the manufacturer? They just need to know that they're going to get across the bridge to the other side and they're going to get their results. and that they're not going to have any problems in getting there. So, at the end of the day, they want to know enough about the bridge just to know that, it's not going to break right in the middle. It's going to actually hold their weight. They're not going to go crashing into the chasm, and they are going to get to the other side. That's what they care about in terms of features, but what they really care about is the results. And so, leading with features, it's oftentimes it's just not a compelling story. So the compelling story is, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my company? Because yes, it's a company, B2B buying is company to company, but it's people making the decisions. And there is a person or a group of people who are making that decision, and they're weighing their options based on risk benefit analysis. What is the risk? How much is this going to cost? What happens if it doesn't work out? What happens to my career? Am I going to be blamed? Is this going to be a problem internally? Or conversely, am I going to be rewarded for finding this incredible solution and partnering with this company who's done an incredible job? Are we going to get incredible results, and I'm going to get a raise at the end of the year, and I'm going to get promoted, and this is going to be awesome? These are the things that may be going through their mind when they're making this decision. So they want to be really clear that they're making the right decision. And that starts with clearly understanding, what is it that you do? What are the results you get for people, and who do you get them for? Do you help people like them, like me? Do you help people like me get the results I'm looking for? And that's really, at the end of the day, the main thing they care about. And so when you can make it clear to them that, yes, you do help people like them get the results they care about and get them better and faster, and in a different, more benefit-driven way for them, they will pay more. They will not only hire you, they will pay more. So, answering those questions. And customers don't buy services. Again, they buy, I need to reduce risk. I need my team to stop worrying about breaches. I need to pass our next audit without panic. These are the end result type of things that they are buying. They buy outcomes. And yes, they need to have reasons to believe that they will achieve the outcomes. That's where perhaps your features come in, or your white paper comes in, or your case study comes in, or your logos showing all of the other companies you've helped get this same result come in. And so I find that technical businesses often struggle with this because they are very pleased with their technical features. And they're excited about their technical features because at the end of the day, I'm sure they worked very hard to make sure they had those technical features. But they can get lost in them. And the important thing is to think from the perspective of your customer. What do they care about? What do they care about? Not what do you care about? And why would they buy this solution? What are they looking for ultimately? What problem are they solving? And what does solved look like? When that problem is solved, what does that mean for them? And, so keeping it focused on the customer's results and outcomes is incredibly important. And start with the customer. Answer questions. Who is my customer? Their role, responsibilities, daily pressures. What decisions do they own? Who is the actual decision maker? And what do they care about? What problem are they trying to solve? What keeps them awake at night? What are their fears, frustrations, and the risks they're trying to avoid at all costs? And what are they trying to accomplish? The outcomes they're measured on and the goals they're racing towards. What is really ultimately, what are they trying to achieve? And what does success look like? In their words, not yours. What does winning feel like to them? And when you really sit down and go through this exercise, which, we don't all do, let's be honest, not all of our, not every company is sitting down thinking about this. A lot of times we're just going through every day and we're doing what we do. But have you sat down and really thought about this? And when we do think about what are they really trying to accomplish and what does success really look like for them, sometimes we find that we may be falling short in some ways in terms of the service that we're offering or the product that we're offering. Are we not dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's that would make this incredibly, incredibly valuable for our customer? And sometimes we may find that, either we're not offering exactly the right thing or we could offer more. And, if you find that, for example, you're selling coffee makers that require a coffee maker filter, you can't run your coffee maker without the filter, but you don't sell filters. Maybe there's an opportunity there to expand what you're selling and also sell the filter because it would add additional value for your customer. And they would buy it. They would be willing to pay more. Well, guess what? Now you're increasing your bottom line by offering something because you stepped back and said, what is the customer really doing with this? And how could we add more value and make this solution solve their problem even better? And then do we offer something additional ourselves, or perhaps there's a partner that we could bring in that could also help us expand this offering so that the customer is getting all of their needs met? And then when you think about their needs, go deeper. Not messaging frameworks that stop at, what does the customer need, but the most powerful messaging goes one layer further into identity. Every major buying decision is also a statement about who someone is becoming. And I know that may be a bit of a abstract concept. It's maybe sounds a little woo-woo, but there's a need that they're expressing on the surface. But underneath that all is really, who are they trying to become? And they're trying to achieve an outcome, of course. So there's a surface need. Maybe the surface need is to secure their systems. But the functional outcome is not to lose money. They don't want a situation where they suddenly have to fork out a whole bunch of money to solve a problem that could have been prevented in the first place. That's a functional outcome. So on the surface, they're looking for perhaps cybersecurity services. Functional outcome is they don't want system vulnerabilities and a problem down the road. And then underneath that is identity aspiration, who they're becoming. Maybe they want to be the head of their department. Maybe they want to be recognized at the end of the year by their company for the great job they did. Maybe they want to be a great dad and they want to make sure that they can send their kids to college. And the way they think they're going to get there is by getting that promotion and getting paid more. So there's always a personal identity buying decisions. And, nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody in their company wants to make a wrong decision. And so making it really easy for them to see and understand that they're making the right choice at the end of the day is going to make it so much easier for you to close deals and attract the customers. Speak their language. Upgrade a viz, listen. Use the exact words your customer already uses to describe their problems, goals, and frustrations. Not marketing language, not industry buzzwords, not the terminology your internal team has adopted, their language. And, how do you find it? You read sales call transcripts. You study customer reviews and testimonials. You pay attention to how prospects phrase problems in discovery calls. You ask customers directly, how would you describe this to a peer? Listen to your customer and frame your services in terms of how they are asking the questions. What is important to them? Answer their questions with your messaging. And when you can do that, they no longer are wondering in their mind, what is this all about? Their questions are just answered. And when they feel like you are anticipating their problems and you understand their problems better than even they do, they're going to be like, oh yeah, this is the right company. Because, if you can articulate their problems and their struggles better than they can, they're going to assume you've done this before. This is not your first rodeo and you know how to fix it. Describing yourself. Most company websites are written from the inside out. The company's perspective, the company's capabilities, the company's history. Great messaging flips the script entirely. You want to move from being company-centered to being customer-centered. And an example of company-centered messaging would be, we offer managed IT services with 24/7 support and a certified team of engineers. Okay. So does everybody else. That's nice. What's in it for me other than what everybody else does? Customer-centered, helping growing businesses eliminate costly downtime and finally stop worrying about their technology. That's benefit outcome driven language. We're actually connecting it to what does this mean for the customer? What can they expect from this service? It's great. It's all fine and good that you have managed IT services with 24/7 support and a certified team of engineers. That's great. But who cares? Why should they care? The customer-centered messaging shows them why they should care up front, and then perhaps tells them about the 24/7 support and certified team of engineers as reasons to believe that we get these outcomes for you. So I see this all the time. I'm actually working with a company right now to help them, reverse this in their messaging so they can have customer-centered messaging versus, feature-focused messaging. You want to destination, setting to the other side of the chasm, so that you are getting them there, not all the things that need to be done to get them there, not like the equipment you need to build the bridge, the material you're going to need to order to build the bridge, the workers you're going to need to hire to build the bridge. Like, they don't care. They just want to get to the other side. So, would be, hey, we sell an AI powered platform. We have CRM implementation. We do management consulting. We do marketing automation. We do cloud infrastructure. Oh, yeah, these are all the things we do. But the destination is what they buy. More revenue with less effort, a pipeline that actually converts, clarity on what to do next, Hours back in every week. Peace of mind at 2 a.m. Outcomes. They sell, they want to buy being on the other side of the chasm. They want to buy the outcome. They don't want to buy, all the things that went into making the bridge. At the end of the day, they might care enough about, the things that went into making the bridge just so that they can have confidence that they're really going to get to the other side. But they don't want to know all the nitty gritty little details up front as the reasons that they should hire you. They want to know what they can expect from the engagement. What can they, what results are they going to get? How is this going to benefit them? Your product or service is the vehicle. It's the destination. It's why they buy. The destination is why they buy. And so lead with the destination every time. And your messaging will land with far more impact. It's just going to connect with them much more when you have benefit focused, destination focused language versus leading with features. And buyers remember stories. Human beings, we've been sitting around campfires since the dawn of time. And what did people probably do while sitting around campfires is we told stories. And people love stories. We pay attention when we hear a story. And so what is your story as a company? Facts inform, stories move people to action. Instead of listing your service capabilities, show what a real customer experience before, during, and after working with you looks like. Stories create emotional connection that facts and features simply cannot. So, and this comes down to also case studies. When they can read a real story of how you implemented this and, successfully transformed a business or got incredible results, then it's going to be easier for them to imagine themselves in the story. There's a guy I really love his philosophy. Don Miller has a book called Building a Story Brand. And the story brand is basically, what is the problem? Calling the problem out. And then how is that problem making your customer feel? And then, telling them that, how, how it is to struggle with that, and that, it's not their fault, or it's a common problem, because oftentimes we think, oh God, like we're the only ones who have this problem, and we're embarrassed to say that we haven't solved it. So like having a little empathy, like don't worry, you're not alone. And then positioning yourself as the guide in helping them get to the other side of the chasm, get to the result, get to the happily ever after. And you don't want, when you're leading with features and product focused and talking all about yourself, that makes you the hero in the story. You want your customer to be the hero in the story. Because if you are the hero in the story, there's no room for them. So you want to show them how you are going to guide them to the destination. You are like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. You are guiding Frodo Baggins to the ring, or whatever he was looking for. So you want to show them how you're going to guide them to a place where their problem is solved. And so we have the before state. This is when the customer is struggling with the problem. And then a turning point. This is when they found a different approach, a specific decision, after effect. What was the happily ever after? What was the meaningful outcome? How did this look? How was this problem solved? And then the lesson learned, transferable insight your buyer can see themselves applying right now. You want them to see themselves in the story. not just see you in the story. You want them to see themselves, because when they can imagine it as themselves going through this process, it's a vision of them working with you. They're imagining, what would it be like? How is this going to work out? If I work with them, what's that going to look like? And when they see themselves in the story, you know, they're able to have the vision of what it looks like to work with you. And it makes it much easier for you to sell and much easier for you to close the deal, because they already get it. Point reinforces positioning. So your positioning isn't just a homepage headline. It's a promise you make everywhere across your business, and you keep everywhere. Buyers encounter your brand across multiple surfaces before they ever speak to a human. Every interaction either builds trust or dilutes it. LinkedIn, email, sales calls, and webinars, proposals. Once you get really clear on who you are and how you're different and how you get results for your customers above and beyond everybody else, that's a message that you want to disseminate throughout your entire business. You want all the communications coming from your business to center around that core message. And so making sure that all of your marketing and communications materials are aligned with that vision. And when you keep all of these things consistent, it builds recognition, because people see it repeated over and over again in various ways, and it builds trust. They understand who you are, they understand how you can help them, and it's easier to attract the right customers and close the deal, because you don't have to start from scratch explaining to them why you're different and explaining to them how you help people, and by the time if you sit down with someone and you have to start that whole process from scratch and they don't know you, it's just going to be much more difficult. So you want to define your core message. Be really clear on who your audience is, what is their problem, and your unique promise in one clear statement. And then apply it consistently. So you want to use the same language across every channel, every team member, every piece of content, and repeat it with confidence. You might get bored of your message before your buyers do, but you've heard it, but they haven't, or maybe they haven't heard it enough. So you want to keep repeating it. You want it to emanate from everything that you do. And then you want to earn top of mind status. When buyers have your problem, your name is the first one they think of. When they have a problem, they think of you, because they've seen it. They know you help with that. They know you solve that problem, and they're going to come to you. And so then you become a magnet. Instead of out there chasing, you're pulling people in. They're coming to you. We call this inbound marketing. People, instead of you cold calling 500 people, hoping that somebody picks up the phone and somebody wants to have a meeting, they're coming to you like a magnet. And, that's what you want from your marketing. The best companies own one idea. The temptation is that when you're proud of everything you do, the instinct is to communicate everything. The result is a message that stands for nothing and a buyer who remembers nothing. So the strategy is, think about the companies you most admire. They are each known for one powerful idea. Not a list of services, not a paragraph of values, one idea. Simple, specific, and impossible to confuse with anyone else. You want to build your message around that single ownable idea. Let everything else support it. And then you want to test your messaging. Here's the simplest and most relevant test you can run, and it costs nothing. Ask someone completely outside your business to read your homepage for 30 seconds, then close it. Then ask, What does this company do? Who do they help? And why would you choose them? If they answered clearly, congratulations, your messaging is working. Now get consistent with it across every channel. If they hesitated or guessed, then your message is partially clear. You want to sharpen the headline and reduce the noise on the page. If they couldn't answer, then if they can't answer, neither can your buyers. So if that's the case, then you probably want to consider rebuilding from the customer outward. You want to start with the customer and you want to clarify your message. All right. So here is a quick audit you can do yourself. Who do you help? Is your target customer named explicitly in the headline or subheadline, or do you say businesses of all sizes? When we hear we help any kind of business, it becomes like, going into Walmart instead of going to a women's boutique clothing store that has your exact size, and style. People want to go to what's applicable to them. And if they don't hear themselves in the message, they don't respond because they don't think it's for them. And then what problem do you solve? Is a specific pain or challenge you eliminate clearly stated or buried 3 paragraphs down? Start with the problem. What are people experiencing that you solve? What is this problem that you're solving? And then how do you solve it better and different and above and beyond everybody else? Is there something on your page that a competitor literally could not copy paste onto theirs? Are you showing them why you do this better and different above and beyond everybody else, or do you sound like everybody else? And then make sure that you give them a call to action. What should I do next? Is the call to action clear, specific, and compelling, or is it just contact us? Contact us about what? What are we going to talk about? What am I going to get out of it? We're all busy and nobody wants to just contact us. People want to know, what am I going to get out of it? What am I going to get out of giving you however many minutes of my time? So if you answered no to any of these, you have a clear, actionable place to start improving today. Great messaging isn't about clever copywriting. It's about deep customer understanding translated into clear, consistent language that buyers can act on. Customer understanding, you want to know who they are, what they fear, what they want, and who they're trying to become. Clear messaging. Well, I'd say differentiation is next. You want to own one idea no competitor owns. Make it impossible to confuse you with anyone else. And then you want to disseminate that idea of how you are different and better through your clear messaging. You want to name their problem, name their outcome, and make your promise specific and believable. So what is the problem and how do you solve it better and different than anybody else? And then you want to build trust with consistency across every touch point. And when you're consistent and you're repeating this same message over and over, people remember. And when they remember, it builds credibility, and credibility turns into conversations. So if you want to make your company the one buyers actually remember, if you feel like maybe you have a little work to do in that area, if you feel like maybe this is something that could be improved or optimized in your organization, drop the word different in the comments, and I will get in touch with you, letting you know how we can have a conversation and take a look at how we can improve this in your business so that you can be a magnet attracting the right customers and closing the deals. All right. Okay. Thank you again for joining me today and talking about how to make your company different so that you stand out from the noise and you can be a market leader and be, recognized as the best at what you do so you can attract the right customers and close those deals. My name again is Laura Camrath with Zebra Marketing, and we help B2B companies who have something incredible to bring to their customers and solve problems, but they may not be the best at bringing in those innovative new solutions to help them build predictable sales and hockey stick growth. So if you feel like that might be you, let's hop on a call and talk about how we can optimize and improve your marketing so you can grow your revenue and make sure that you're meeting your targets month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. And I will be here live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And we'll be talking about more topics to help you be more successful in your business, in your marketing, and how to bring in those innovative solutions that can help you get an edge in today's highly competitive market. All right. If this was a helpful conversation for you, please give it a like, drop a comment. I will be back to check for questions and answer your questions if you're watching this live. And, if you know anyone who would benefit from this conversation, please do share. And that helps us, engage better as a community. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you soon.